The quiet economic crisis nobody is talking about is not the kind of crisis that shows up overnight with collapsing banks or sudden market crashes. It is slower, quieter, and in many ways more confusing because life on the surface still seems normal. Stores are open, people are working, cities are busy, and yet millions of households across the United States and many other countries feel a growing pressure that is hard to ignore. Bills are higher, savings feel smaller, and financial security seems more fragile than it used to be. What makes this situation unusual is that the economy is not officially in a dramatic recession, but everyday life has become noticeably more expensive and unpredictable for a large number of people. One of the main reasons behind this quiet crisis is the long shadow left by inflation over the past few years. Even though inflation rates may slow down, according to official statistics, the actual prices people pay rarely return to previous levels. Groceries that became expensive stay expensive, rents that increased remain high, and services that adjusted their prices during inflationary periods often keep them there. This means households must permanently adapt to a new cost structure that is heavier than before. For many families, the problem is not a single large expense, but the accumulation of many smaller increases happening at the same time. Another powerful factor shaping this quiet crisis is interest rates. After years of extremely cheap borrowing, the Federal Reserve and other central banks raised rates to control inflation. This policy helps stabilize prices over time, but it also makes loans significantly more expensive. Mortgages, credit cards, car financing, and business loans all become harder to manage when interest rates rise. For people who bought homes or took on debt when borrowing was cheap, monthly payments can increase or refinancing becomes impossible. For those trying to enter the housing market now, afford becomes a major barrier. Housing itself is one of the clearest signals of the quiet economic pressure people feel. In many regions, home prices remain high, while mortgage rates are far above the historic lows seen earlier in the decade. At the same time, rent has climbed steadily in many cities and even smaller towns. This creates a situation where people feel trapped between expensive renting and difficult homeownership. Younger adults are delaying buying homes, starting families later, or moving back in with relatives simply because the financial threshold has moved further away. Wages are another key part of the story. While it is true that wages increased in certain industries, in many cases they have not grown fast enough to fully match the rise in living costs. On paper, a person might be earning more money than before, but in real terms that income may not stretch as far as it used to. This creates a subtle but powerful shift in how people feel about their financial future. Instead of feeling like they are progressing steadily, many feel like they are maintaining balance just to stay in the same place. Another element that is rarely discussed openly is the rise in household debt. Credit card balances in particular have grown in recent years as families rely on borrowing to cover everyday expenses or unexpected costs. High interest rates make this even more difficult because carrying debt becomes more expensive month after month. For many households, financial stress does not appear suddenly, but builds gradually until budgets feel constantly tight. Technology and changes in the job market are also contributing to this quiet crisis in ways that are not always obvious. Artificial intelligence, automation, and global competition are reshaping industries. Some jobs are becoming more efficient and productive, but others are disappearing or changing rapidly. Workers are increasingly aware that the skills required today may not be the same ones needed in the near future. Even when employment levels remain relatively stable, uncertainty about long-term career stability can influence financial decisions and create anxiety about the future. Another reason this crisis feels invisible is because of how modern information works. Social media often highlights success, luxury, and growth stories while hiding the everyday struggles people face behind the scenes. When everyone appears to be doing well online, individuals may assume their own financial stress is unusual, when in reality millions are experiencing similar challenges at the same time. This creates a strange contrast between perception and reality. On one side, economic reports might show growth in certain sectors. On the other side, many households feel financially stretched despite working hard and earning stable incomes. So is this a true crisis or simply a transition period in the economy? The most honest answer is that it is a structural adjustment happening slowly. Economies evolve over time, and periods like this often occur when multiple major changes happen together. Right now, several forces are overlapping. The end of ultra-cheap money, lasting price increases from inflation, shifting demographics, new technologies changing the workforce, and global economic uncertainty. When these forces combine, the result is a new economic environment that feels different from what people were used to in the past decade. The important thing to understand is that this quiet crisis is not necessarily permanent, but it is real. Many people are learning to adapt by adjusting spending habits, building new skills, exploring additional income streams, or becoming more financially cautious. Throughout history, economic shifts have always created both challenges and opportunities. Those who recognize what is happening early are often better prepared to navigate the changes. The reason nobody talks about this crisis loudly is because it is not dramatic enough to dominate headlines every day, yet it is significant enough to reshape how millions of people live, plan, and think about their future. And that is why it deserves attention, because understanding the forces behind it can help people make smarter decisions in a world where the rules of money, work, and stability are quietly evolving.